exploring multidimensional bodies of being human. Light.
What does it mean to be a multidimensional human being? Are we merely physical bodies wandering through space? Or is there more to our existence than meets the eye? The exploration of these questions uncovers the fascinating complexity of our human personality, a multidimensional entity shaped by a myriad of factors. Dive into the depths of personality psychology, and one encounters a spectrum of dimensions that constitute the human personality. These dimensions, often considered as traits, are characteristics that define our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. The most widely accepted model, the five-factor model, encapsulates 5 broad dimensions: openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Openness, the first dimension, touches upon our willingness to experience new things, to be imaginative, and to appreciate different forms of art and beauty. It's the creative spark, the curiosity that drives us to think outside the box. Conscientiousness, on the other hand, is the force that keeps us grounded. It's the discipline that drives us to fulfill our duties and obligations, to be organized and methodical. It's the dimension that keeps our lives in order, ensuring we don't stray too far from the path. Extroversion, the third dimension, is the energy that fuels our social interactions. It's the desire to be around others, to be the life of the party, to thrive in social situations. It's the dimension that keeps us connected, forging bonds and relationships. Agreeableness, the fourth dimension, is the compassion that makes us human. It's the empathy that allows us to understand others, to be kind and considerate. It's the dimension that keeps us united, fostering harmony and cooperation. Lastly, neuroticism is the dimension that reflects our emotional stability. It's our response to stress, our tendency to experience negative emotions like anxiety, anger, or depression. It's the dimension that tests our resilience, challenging us to find balance. These dimensions do not exist in isolation, but are intricately intertwined. The interaction between these dimensions shapes our unique personality, influencing how we perceive the world and how we interact with it. For instance, a person with high openness and low conscientiousness might be a creative dreamer, always brimming with ideas but struggling to bring them to fruition. Moreover, our personality dimensions are not fixed, but can evolve over time. Life experiences, personal growth, and maturity can lead to shifts in our personality dimensions. The ever-changing nature of these dimensions adds another layer of complexity to our multidimensional personality. In summary, being a multidimensional human means possessing a unique blend of personality dimensions that shape our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. The five-factor model, comprising openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism, provides a comprehensive framework for understanding these dimensions. Their interaction creates our unique personality, and their evolution over time reflects our personal growth. So the next time you ponder about what it means to be human, remember that you are not just a physical entity. You are a fascinating tapestry of personality dimensions, ever-evolving, ever-changing, making you the unique, multidimensional human being you are.
Imagine a radiant energy field pulsating with vibrant life force. This is your light body. It influences your emotions and well-being. Understanding its significance is paramount. The light body is a real energetic blueprint. Grounding is about establishing a strong connection between your light body and the earth. It's like dropping anchor in a stormy sea, providing stability. Tap into the earth's natural healing energies, replenishing your being. Imagine a tree with deep roots firmly planted in the ground. This tree withstands strong winds because its roots provide a solid foundation. Similarly, when grounded, you are more resilient to life's challenges. Grounding enhances your overall well-being and presence. Grounding aligns you with the universal life force energy. It's about connecting with the earth and allowing energy to flow freely. This vital force sustains all creation, promoting healing and balance. Grounding clears negative energies, leaving you refreshed and connected. Section 4. The physicality of grounding. Grounding has profound effects on the physical body. We exist in physical forms, intricately connected to the earth. Scientific research reveals the tangible benefits of grounding. It reduces inflammation and improves overall health. The Earth's electrons neutralize free radicals. This promotes balance and harmony within your body. A guided grounding meditation. Find a comfortable seated position. Close your eyes and focus on your breath. Imagine roots growing from your feet into the earth. Visualize Earth's energy filling your body. Release tension into the earth. Gently return to your surroundings. Notice how centered and at peace you feel. Reaping the benefits of grounding. Grounding makes you present, focused, and clear-minded, less reactive to stress, more emotionally balanced. Imagine yourself as a tree deeply rooted in the earth. Grounding connects you to your strength and resilience. Incorporate grounding for subtle, profound well-being shifts, more creative, inspired, and connected to your purpose. Nourish your light body with grounding practices.
Thank you. Now watch this dry.
Hello, hello. Grand day. Welcome everybody. I'm gonna let you guys all settle in and come into this space. So we are here for the next episode of Light Body Awareness 101. I am Marcus Crystallite, your host of the space. And as we continue traveling and journeying through the multidimensional layers of being human being, we continue to dive into the light body and its relation on a multidimensional level to our human being. With that, so far in this series, which you guys can watch on YouTube, Sacred Light Healing and Wellness, we have gone over and covered the basics and the fundamental blueprint system of what the light body is as a whole and how it operates with our human being. And then we've also touched on chakras, and we went in depth in how chakras are formed, where they're located, as well as what they do in our multidimensional function. Along with that, we went through all 12 chakras in depth in part 2 of the chakras. So you can learn about each individual chakra and their relation to us. And then after that, we did an episode, which was the last episode, about grounding. Or, my bad. This episode's about grounding. The last episode was about energy cords. So we talked about energy cords, how we create cords, as well as how to clear and to be able to bring back balance with our cords. So now as we continue on with the series, Light Body Awareness 101, we are now going to travel into grounding. We're going to talk about the mechanics of grounding on a metaphysical level. And then we're also going to talk about how grounding can affect us mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. So I have the traditional whiteboard for us today to continue teaching with the whiteboard style, giving you guys nice visual diagrams along with my speaking on how this operates so you can get a real clear picture of what grounding is and how grounding really works for us. And then you can understand for yourself in detailed perspective of why grounding is emphasized and talked about so much in our human lives. So that being said, go ahead and grab your water, grab some tea, snacks, crystals, whatever you like, and get yourself comfortable. And we'll begin in just a minute. Alrighty. Now that we are all settled in and in the space, let's go ahead and begin. So today we're talking about grounding. And to begin, we'll go ahead and draw out for us the human being. Now, I'm not sure how well you guys can see that. Okay, that's pretty good. So this is your physical human body right here. And then if you remember throughout the series, the next body or the next layer of the human being, as we are multi-dimensional, multi-layered beings within our whole entire aura and energy field. And matter of fact, let me go ahead and pull this up for you guys so you guys can see a reference image as a fresh reminder. So as you can see here in this image, you can see the 7 layers of our aura. Now, these layers can also be known as bodies as well. Now, this whole entire aura, with all these bodies and layers, makes up our actual human being. So sometimes we may think that our human being is only the physical body, and the physical body is everything. Well, in multidimensional reality of a human, the physical body is actually the lowest vibrational. It is the most dense form or body of the human representation. With that being said, these other bodies that are outside the physical body, such as the etheric body, the emotional, the mental, the astral, and beyond, all these bodies vibrate at a higher frequency, which means that they have less density and they are not as dense as the physical body. And with that being said, that means they're able to transmit light. They're able to cycle and flow through energy and light quicker and more quantum-like than the physical body. The physical body is the last body out of all of our bodies to be able to receive information, to be able to receive energy, as everything else gets filtered throughout the other layers to then be experienced through the physical. And then in order for the physical body to be able to experience any of these other dimensions of ourself, it has the light body. The light body, or the etheric body, is your blueprint system. It is your mapping. It is your matrix coding. It is the bridge, the portal, the gateway for the other dimensions and layers to be able to be expressed and experienced through your physical avatar. So with that being said, having our chakras in alignment with our energy body, these chakras act as these gateways or portals to different frequencies and dimensions of light to be expressed and experienced through our physical human avatar. So if you look at this image, you can see in this image here that at the root chakra, they have these 2 red cords of light, or these 2 red lines of energy, and they're splitting off down both legs and going down into what you could say is the earth. So what they're showing in this image actually is they're showing what grounding looks like energetically or metaphysically out of the root chakra. So out of the root chakra, that is one place or one gateway for us to be able to ground into the earth. But then, as you can see in the image, we also have our feet. Our feet are also gateways, or known as minor chakras, for being able to allow our energy field to ground and anchor into the Mother Gaia grid, or the planetary grid. So going all the way back to the very first episode of the series, I actually briefly touched on grounding and showed a little bit of this in my diagram. But I'm going to recap that with you guys today and show it in this diagram that I'm going to be drawing on the whiteboard. The mechanics of grounding, what it looks like, and what it looks like when we're not grounded. So that is a brief reminder and refreshment on the layers of the aura and the multidimensional layers and bodies of the human being, just to give you a remembrance and refreshment on what the light body is and its relation to us. And if you have any questions here in the live, whether on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, feel free to drop your questions in the comments and I'll gladly answer them to the best of my abilities for you. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and move on into the lesson. So you have your physical human body, and then you have your light body. And your light body is this subtle energy layer that goes through and is around your physical body. It's also the component to your electrical system, as well as your DNA activations, is your light body. I'm actually going to change the color for you guys so it can be a little bit more noticeable. Now I'm going to draw our whole entire toroidal field, or our whole entire energy field. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and draw up the chakras. So you have the 7 chakras aligned throughout the body. And then through those 7 chakras is our balancing cord of light that is acting as a balancing axis through the center of our being. This balancing axis is our connection cord to higher power, to heavens, to source. And then as this cord goes through our energy field, as well as the chakras, it then makes its way down and out through the root chakra. And then that cord begins to make its way as an anchor into the earth. Just one moment.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good.
How's he doing?
He's good.
Good.
I got teaching I gotta do. Alrighty, I'm back. Okay, so as we were talking about here, this cord of light that is our basically an umbilical cord, or our connection to source. And this connection cord is always present with us, and it's always connected. But the thing is how much is our energy field clear and clean for this cord to be able to flow through our center column fluidly? And when I say fluidly, I mean fluidly circulating. So when you look at the human being, when it comes to our electromagnetic field, or our toroidal field as we call it as well, you notice that it's in constant motion, flowing through us and around us. So if we have blockages causing resistance within our wheels of energy, our chakras, then it's going to be difficult for this cord to be able to flow through fluidly and seamlessly. So this is where spiritual maintenance comes in, spiritual hygiene. Checking in with ourselves. Are our chakras balanced? Are they clear? Are there things that are in our mental, emotional, or physical body that could be causing resistance and causing blockages. So now the more that this is able to flow through us fluidly, then the more we are naturally in tune with our intuition. So our intuition is spirit being able to flow through us organically. It is also going to be a key component to our health and our well-being, as well as if we have dis-ease throughout our being. So say you have some blockages in your chakras, and let's say specifically the root chakra. So we have a blockage in the root chakra, therefore it's causing a distortion and resistance within that energy center. So then that distortion and that resistance then can create a blockage from that cord being able to leave out of the root center to then ground and anchor properly into the planetary grid of Gaia. So what we may find pretty common in humanity, especially today, is a lot of blockages in our lower chakras. You know, dealing with traumas, pain, fear, scarcity, all these different things, they get stored in the lower chakras. So if we're holding on to all these energies and they're continuing to cycle through us, then this can cause distortions and blocks in the root chakra. Now, if we have distortions and blocks, then it's going to be difficult for our cord to be able to ground and anchor into the earth grid. Now, what can happen when this happens is, due to the energies not being able to leave and exit out of our being properly, these energies can become backed up. They can become dense and more dense as time goes on. And then it can create wounds, it can create scarcity, it can create a lot of conflict within our being if we're not able to release energies that we are accumulating and absorbing through our electromagnetic field as energetic beings. Along with this, when we have blockages there, it can also cause us to be disassociated and disconnected from our earth human life or our physical human life, which can make it very hard to complete tasks. It can make it hard to be responsible for our human things. And it could also create bouts of ping-ponging between anxiety, depression, confusion, or just feeling like you are lost without a purpose here in your human life. These are the type of things that can manifest if we have blockages in those lower chakras, especially the root chakra, and we're not able to allow our energy field to properly ground and anchor into the earth grid. So now, say you do some grounding practices, and those grounding practices, you start activating and clearing your root chakra. And what are some good grounding practices, you may be wondering? Well, feel free to put in the comments any grounding practices that you use. But some grounding practices that I use, and I know that others use, is number one, earthing, having your bare feet on the earth, being outside, connecting with nature. Number two, you can listen to root chakra frequencies or grounding frequencies. Number three, you can do breath work. Number four, you can utilize crystals, such as the black crystals, red jasper. And then you can also do guided meditations. There's yoga that you can do as well. And then also you can eat grounded root vegetables. Root vegetables will help you ground your energy as well, such as beets, potatoes, carrots, those kind of more hearty and heavier veggies. So now say you do some practices and you do the things to allow your root chakra to become clear and become activated properly. So now, due to that, this balancing cord that connects us to the divine is now able to flow properly down and out of the root chakra. So now that it's grounded properly, it then anchors into the planetary grid system, the metaphysical grid, or the light body of Gaia. So then when that happens, this is the way I like to draw it, and I like to visualize and imagine as well, is that cord, as it anchors and grounds into the Gaia grid, it then begins to spread like roots of a tree out into every direction. And you can do many different visualizations and meditations where you do visualize and consciously navigate your energy down into the cord of grounding and then spreading it out like roots to help you anchor and harmonize even deeper with the earth. So then you have all of these cords that are now like roots, spreading all throughout the metaphysical grid of earth. And you can also think of these roots as basically networks, almost like the mycelium network of fungus. So through these metaphysical and energetic cords, we're also receiving energy, we're receiving information, we're receiving support through the whole entire planetary grid of Gaia. And when I say whole entire planetary grid, this means not just Gaia herself, but also all the children, all the co-creations that are on Gaia. This includes the animals, the whole human race, our ancestors, ancient guardians, as well as the elements and beyond. When we have this established grounded connection to the planetary grid, we're naturally, through our root system, like mycelium, able to access and organically have the supportive energies of all of these beings flowing through these network roots up into the cord and then into our whole entire being and system, whether it's up to the root chakra. And then what I'm also going to show you here too is, with earthing. With earthing, this is another gateway or a portal that you can use to ground to the earth. So as you can see here, I just drew out a splitting at the root chakra, over into the hips and then down through the legs, through the feet. So another fact about the human being is that not only do we have what we call the major chakras, which are the 7, and then we have the 12 as well, but we also have what we call minor chakras all throughout our body at different meridian points. These meridian points are the physical representations of metaphysical light body chakras. So with that being said, we have these little tiny chakras called minor chakras on the soles of our feet. This is why the soles of our feet are very sensitive, very hyper energetic, and same with our palms, our ears, and some other places. You'll notice the most sensitive spots on our body are direct chakras, meridians, or gateway centers. So if you want to take a moment right now, feel free and just kind of draw your attention inward and then draw your attention to your feet. And then just take a moment, take a breath, get still. And as you find your center, allow yourself to direct your attention to your feet. And then direct your attention to the bottom of your feet. And just allow yourself to feel your feet. And see if you can feel what feels almost like energetic centers, or energy that is flowing, creating sensitivity at the bottom of your feet. So then what you feel there is the energy centers, the little chakras at the soles of your feet. So through the soles of your feet, this is another gateway for our rooting system or anchoring system to be able to leave out of our body other than just the root chakra. So when it comes out of our feet and we ground into the earth grid through the feet, there are tremendous benefits on the health side of things that scientists and many more have now found from the practice of earthing. And there's actually a documentary called Earthing that you can watch as well. Some of the known facts of earthing through the feet, through the feet is number 1, the release of inflammation. Number 2, the releasing of toxins in the body. Number 3, the upliftment and the awakening of chemicals and dopamine in the body. Number 4, the release of anxiety and stress, as well as the clearing of depression. These are all different things that we can experience through proper grounding. Now, along with that, grounding is also a practice or a way that is capable of helping us be able to maintain more peace within our mind, more stability within the mind, and more clarity. Grounding can also help you on your emotional level. It can help you be able to feel more one with your emotions. It can help you be able to feel like you have a stronger foundation and that you have a stronger durability of being able to experience the emotions that come through you, while also not being thrown around so much by the waves of the emotions. So say you're not grounded and then you're going through all these emotions and triggers, then you can be more likely to get thrown around, get flung by these emotions and energies due to not being grounded. But then what you can notice is when you're properly grounded and then you come across these emotions and experiences, it's like you're more of a tree where you're firm, where you're still and you're in yourself. And then the emotions and energies are just flowing through you like a highway, smoothly and fluidly. And you're experiencing it, you're observing it without needing to become so attached. That is another thing that happens if we have proper grounding. So when we ground, we can also think about connecting our energy and connecting our being to the Earth Star chakra as well. The Earth Star chakra is below the feet and between the feet. And the Earth Star basically acts as the core of Earth. And at the core of Earth, this is where we fully anchor our whole entire human being to the planetary grid. So, when we have that connection to the Earth star and it's properly anchored in, the Earth star stabilizes and is the foundation for our whole entire human existence and our whole entire human life. It is also the landing pad for the foundation for our higher energies, our higher dimensions of ourselves, to be able to be brought into our human purpose, brought into our human life, and be able to ground in and integrate properly. It's important that we have a foundation, that we have a grounding pad for our higher dimensions, for our higher self, to be able to be integrated and brought into our physical nature. So keep in mind that as much as we want to ascend, and as much as we hear about ascension, it's equally as important that we ground along with our ascension. Why is this? So say that we're not grounded, but we're continuing to ascend and activate and stimulate ourselves. Now, what can happen is that we can become so overwhelmed, so overstimulated and overactivated without having any type of grounding or security of ourselves, that we can either become super floaty, detached from our reality. We can neglect our physical human life. We can become a little bit too far into the light, where we start to polarize ourselves from darkness, separate ourselves from darkness, start, beating up our shadows and thinking all of this stuff about the lower polarities or darkness. So the key is, finding that balance of the lower nature and the higher nature, the balance of earth and heaven, the balance of light and dark. So me personally, in my daily routines, I try to do something that is going to bring balance for me. I try to make sure that not only am I activating myself, but that I'm also grounding myself as well. And another thing too is if we're just activating without grounding, we can exhaust our energy very quickly, and we can run out of stamina very quickly, as well as vitality. Our vital energy of being the human being for our human vessel is in our lower chakras. It begins at the lower chakras. So if our vitality or our kundalini energy is stuck in those lower chakras, is not able to rise to be expressed through the other chakras, this is another thing that can turn into a lot of symptoms of just not being able to be our greatest self and not be the healthiest version of ourselves as well. So just keep in mind, if you're ever feeling over anxious, overstimulated, feeling like you're having too many downloads and other things, keep in mind that you can shift your focus to grounding. And when you shift your focus to grounding, what you're doing is you're then directing and guiding all those energies to start going down into the earth, down into your lower dimensions, where they can become stored and integrated into your physical human life. The lower three chakras basically encompass your physical life. So the more clear that those lower chakras are, the more you'll flourish, the more you'll naturally attract, and the more you'll have abundance being experienced, as well as a peaceful and stable nature with yourself in your everyday life. So if anybody that's in the live has any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. and I'll gladly answer your questions. And if nobody has any questions, I think we probably have maybe one more segment, and that'll actually be it for this episode. Um, Nothing too crazy, nothing too abstract. Trying to keep it very simplified and tangible for us, and also just really stick with the focus here, which is talking about grounding. It's a very simple concept of ourself and what we are, and it's really intriguing. Like, you can examine for your own self in your life, like, when I'm not grounded, I can notice, like, I'm anxious, I'm so stuck on time, I feel like, I need to be full of scarcity and fear and all this stuff. But then I notice when I am grounded, I'm at ease, I'm at peace. I just have this like zenful nature where I know that things can pass and that I'm able to be more firm in myself, not give in to attachments or impulse and things of that nature. And we have a question from Sarah Broadhead on Facebook. And welcome, Sarah. Glad to see you. Do you have any tips to pass in to our kids to help them ground when they need it? Like a technique for kids? Ooh, okay. So, technique that I would give for kids. Well, number one, I know that kids often are very attracted to crystals. So you can definitely integrate, crystals with your children. Maybe show them a couple of black stones, or maybe even red stones that are good for the root chakra and grounding, and kind of just teach them and explain to them what that crystal does. And then show them maybe even also, they can hold the crystal, close their eyes, focus on the crystal and breathe. Or they can try out affirmations. So maybe you can have a fun way of exploring and creating affirmations with your children that can help them be reminded of their peace, of the things they love, the things that help them feel grounded within their self. Another thing is you could, instead of, what you call a timeout, you could do a practice where, say, like, instead of a discipline or like, telling them time out, you could be like, hey, let's take a moment and ground ourselves. And with that, come up with it authentically to you, of course. It could be along the lines of like, instead of a timeout, it's like, okay, you're a little bit too far scattered, or you're a little bit too out there with your energy. Let's try to bring it back in. Let's have a seat. And when you have this seat, let's take a couple breaths and count to this. And then once you're done counting to this and taking a few breaths, then you can get back up and return back to what you were doing. Something like that can kind of like give them a new style and a new approach to what discipline is, rather than just straight up disciplining them and not doing it in a fun way, or not in a way that is not going to be, traumatizing for them, but progressive. You're welcome, Casey. Glad to see you. And if you guys, Sarah, Casey, anybody else out there, You know, if you're a parent or not a parent, because I mean, I'm not a parent myself, but you can always tap into parent energy and observe from others around you. Um, Feel free to share your guys' ideas or the practices that you use with your children to ground. And then also, I think another good way for children as well would be connecting them with nature. So say like, you know, something's going on, energy's flowing. You can find a way for them to connect with nature, so to say. So say if you're outside, you could just be like, take a moment and go, you know, sit with the water and reflect, or walk around, take a lap outside, things like that. Finding ways to connect with nature and ground them to nature and allow the interaction with nature as well to be able to conduce what it needs to therapeutically. But yeah, for me, trying to find ways to pause the motion of what's happening so then that pause can create a cutoff and then drop that energy down into something that's going to bring simplicity, that's going to bring groundedness and focus rather than scattered high energies. And this could also even be just like something that is really meaningful to your child as well. You know, you can remind them like of that meaningful thing, or you can remind them to physically grab or physically use that meaningful thing to them and to connect with it. So I find too also is like when we're triggered or when we're going off into explosive energies, we're really detached from the things that are meaningful to us. So if something meaningful can get brought into our energy and into our awareness while we're in that state, I feel like sometimes that meaningful thing is a great way to bring us back to center, to bring us back to being grounded within ourselves. Because that meaningful thing comes into our perception, and then we're like, oh, I don't want to act like this in front of this, or I don't want to act like this around this. And then that meaningful thing kind of takes over and starts to purify us. So that's another thing as well that you can do. I hope that was helpful. I want to use the word center with my kids because grounding has a negative association with it in the discipline category. But your advice has me thinking that the word, you're grounded, got turned. Oh, yeah, it got turned negative, where it was meant to be what you were saying. I love this. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome, Casey. Absolutely. Thank you for commenting. Yeah, I would say there's been like a bad rep on the word grounded due to this patriarchal society. But I even know growing up, I was like, man, I don't want to ever be like grounded or calm and all this stuff. I always want to be activated and all this stuff. But now as I get older, I really realize the importance of that balance of being grounded and being activated at the same time. Because man, you do dry out quickly. You do kind of just spew your energy and become, you know, really done way quicker than you would like to be. when we don't have that grounding foundation. It's like our energy is just freely going out everywhere. All right, so as we wrap up, if you guys have any more questions, feel free to drop them. As we wrap up, I wanted to actually demonstrate a grounding practice technique with you guys, step by step, that you may do with me. So for this practice, it's not going to require much of anything. It'll just require yourself. And if you want to use a crystal, you can. Feel free to grab any of the black crystals, whether it is onyx, obsidian, tourmaline, hematite, jet. Feel free to grab those. And I have a smoky quartz hematite celestial. And then for this practice, it's actually going to be a standing practice, or you can sit if you want. And then you're going to take your crystal and you're going to hold it in your right hand. So if you look up diagrams of the human body, you can see that in the diagrams it shows you that your left is your receiving hand, and then your right is your output hand. So when you're outputting into a crystal, you're then releasing and draining the energy into that crystal. Holding to the left, you're activating and enhancing with the attributes of that crystal. So you hold it in your left if you want a protection energy from a protective stone. You hold it in your right if you want some grounding and releasing from that type of stone. So we're going to hold it in our right hand for grounding and releasing. And then we're going to plant our feet straight on the ground, about hip length apart. Let me go ahead and tilt this down actually. So you're going to have your feet about hip length apart, crystal in the right hand, standing straight, good posture, having our back straight as we can, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing our jaw, making sure that our toes are flat and not curled. Now we're going to start zoning in. Now I'd like for you to focus on the bottom of your feet, feeling the chakras at the bottom of the feet. And now we're going to focus on the breath. Breathing through the nose. Drawing that breath all the way through the body, down and out through the legs and feet, down and out through the root chakra, anchoring into the earth and creating those roots like I drew. Breathing through the nose, drawing the breath all the way down the body and legs, down through the feet and out the root, and exhale out of the mouth. Now, as you take each breath, visualize and feel and guide your whole entire energy field and being, mentally, emotionally, and physically, down with the breath as it travels to the earth, as it all anchors with the breath in each cycle to harmonize and ground with the earth. Go ahead and take 5 more of these breaths, beginning now. All right. Stay with the breath as much as you need. And just tap in for a moment. Be still. Be one with yourself and feel the difference in yourself. Mentally, emotionally, energetically. How do you feel compared to how you felt right before the practice? Do you feel more at ease? Do you feel your nervous system a little bit more regulated? Do you feel like you're not having as much racing thoughts? Do you feel a little bit slowed down? I had to get Instagram back up because it cuts off at an hour. And we're back on Instagram. Glad I was able to get that practice in right before the cutoff. But yeah, that's a practice strategy that you can use anytime to ground. And take as much time as you need when you do the practice. There is no right or wrong. There's no rush to the speed or the rate, how many reps you do. Just allow yourself to be intuitive with yourself and really feel when you're ready to fully be grounded and can let go of continuing on with the practice. So that's a practice that you can also use with your children, and you can show them the practice and do it with them, even when they don't need it, so to say. So like you can just show them today, even if they are feeling fine, you can show them as a future reference so they can have a tool in their own tool belt on how to ground themselves in a way. So keep in mind, try to find fun ways as well with your children and loved ones to teach this stuff. And try also maybe not so much of putting it on just them, but doing it with them. So just like showing them that it can be fun, showing them the benefit of it, maybe demonstrating it first, and then having them do it after you. Sometimes it's some of the best way to teach children and others is doing it ourselves first to show them that, yeah, this is something I do, this is something I love, and this is what happens when I do it. And then they can see for themselves, oh, okay, well, my mom does it, my dad does it, and it seems to be effective for him or her. Now I feel a little bit more comfortable with trying it. Then you guys can try it together as well if you'd like. So yeah, how are you feeling, Casey? How was that for you? How are you, Sarah? If you're still here. And Casey, if you want to hop on for a moment to share a little bit, or just share a little bit about grounding, or some things that you're going to do moving forward with your children, feel free to hop on. I can send you the link to join in, and you can hop on and share a little bit real quick as we close out. Let me know in the comments. And last reminder too is keep in mind when we're grounded properly, metaphysically, we're able to have a more fluid functioning and cycling of energy, transmutation process of what's coming through us from our experiences. Along with that, we also are coming from and are in a more peaceful, more stable, and more clear state of our being with our whole entire everyday life. So our focuses, our emotions, the way that we're acting physically, all this stuff becomes way more fluid, way more clear, and way more stable for our everyday life functions. Whether it's going to work, creating a project, just getting through our everyday life, handling conflict, moving through change. All of these things can be supported just a little bit better the more that we actively are grounding ourselves consciously. Okay, so you're about to go on a walk to the library, and then you're going to get your child. He's working a summer class. That's cool. Awesome. Well, enjoy that time. Have a beautiful connection, and enjoy the rest of your day. So yeah, that will do it for today's episode of Light Body Awareness 101, Grounding. Talked about the mechanics on the multidimensional levels of grounding, as well as our relationship to the light body. And I also showed you guys a step-by-step demonstration of a strategy or practice that you can use in your everyday life. And you can also show it with your loved ones, your community, and anybody else that you care for as a simple practice to integrate. There's a lot of good gems throughout this. Other practices and strategies talked about ways that you can help ground with your children and anything else that has to do with grounding. Before I hop off of here, I want to remind you guys that coming up tomorrow, we have another live at 11:11 a.m. Eastern. I will be going live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Grand Raw Rising, Kings and Queens. Grab your coffee or your tea and enjoy some sacred healing space for all ages and reflections that are welcomed. No matter if you're at work, watching the kiddos at home, or even driving on the road, Rising with Raw is a beautiful sacred space to learn about the chakras, as well as receive our collective card reading for the day. Along with this, we will have beautiful guests and members of the tribe come on to share their gifts, their practices, knowledge, and wisdom as we self-empower and become aware of who we are as we go forth by day.
Walking like an Egyptian, walking like an Egyptian, walking like an Egyptian, walking like an Egyptian. Yeah, she walking like an Egyptian.
That's right. So coming up tomorrow, 11:11 a.m. Eastern, live, Rising with Ra, Sacral Chakra. I will be having another royal guest joining us, Divine Words of Wisdom, and that will be live. Catch us then. And then last we have coming up on the 24th.
Of spiritual growth. Join Marcus Christolite for a transformative throat chakra flow shop on August 24th at 4:44 p.m. EST. Dive deep into understanding your throat chakra. Learn about blockages, overactivations, and how they impact your life. In this free, donation-based session, you'll engage in reflective journaling to identify and release your own blocks. Plus, Marcus will guide you through a powerful throat chakra clearing meditation. Feel the liberation of true self-expression and clear communication. Don't miss this chance to empower your voice and speak your truth. Sign up now at sacredlight33.as.me or DM us directly for the room link. Your voice is your power. Let's amplify it together.
So yep, coming up on the 24th, Saturday, 4:44 p.m. Eastern, I will be hosting my next Chakra Empowerment online space, free donation based, and we are making our way to the throat chakra. So we'll be going over the throat chakra. I'll also be sharing with you blockages and overactivations in that center, and then give you a space to journal and reflect on any that you can identify in your own personal life. Receive some guidance from the community if you would like. And then we'll also be doing a throat chakra meditation clearing. Free donation based. Just reach out if you like the link, or you can go to Sacred Light, excuse me, sacredlight33.as.me and sign up there. I will see you guys later. Reach out if you have any questions, and you guys can check out this whole series, Light Body Awareness 101, on the YouTube channel, Sacred Light Healing and Wellness. Thank you to all subscribers, all followers on my platforms, all comments. I appreciate all of you guys. Remember to keep on rising, but also keep on grounding. Wholeness and balanced love.